Hi, my name is Daniel. This is my wife, Leva, and we wanted to tell you about our new goldfish and some things we've learned about goldfish. We recently just got these new goldfish here. You can see there's 3 of them, and we got them at the pet store, and actually I was wanting to get guppies. I have been reading about them and wanted to get guppies for a long time, but then we went to the store and they said, well, if your fish water hasn't had fish in it, then you need to get it ready by having some other fish that aren't so important to you to put in there. So we put these in here because apparently these aren't so important. They were only 30 cents each. It only cost us $1 for all these fish. And they said you can bring these fish back after a month when your fish water is ready for the guppies. You know, the bacteria needs to build so that then, you know, nitrogen and everything can be broken down so that fish don't get sick by it. So we were planning to bring these back in a month, but now we're getting kind of attached to these fish because goldfish are quite amazing fish. Even though these are, you know, just the common goldfish that people used to feed to other fish, they've been amazing fish. They're just always swimming around the tank, looking for something to eat, always full of energy, and it's been inspiring to have these fish here. And so we just wanted to share a little bit about what we've been learning about fish and how these goldfish have inspired us. And my wife Leva has a poem she'd like to share with you about the goldfish.
Hi, I found a very beautiful poem about goldfish, and I thought that I will share to them as it explains a little bit what goldfish are and how we relate to them. My darling little goldfish, who hasn't any toes. He swims around without a sound and bumps his hungry nose. He can't get out to play with me, nor I get in to him. Although I say, come out and play, he says, come in and swim.
Yeah, and many people have thought that about the goldfish. You know, it's so nice to look at them. We can't get as close to them as we'd like we could with a dog or a cat, but they're a really, truly amazing animal. Even though we have to keep our distance, we really enjoy seeing the fish swim as humans. That's why over 480 million goldfish are sold every year. That's actually more than dogs and cats combined. Let me tell you a little bit about the history of the goldfish. Goldfish is one of the oldest domesticated fish, and it's the most commonly kept aquarium fish as well. It was kept by the ancient Chinese starting the year 200 AD, and yeah, it actually was originally domesticated from carp fish, which is, you know, like one of these fish we have here, kind of a gray silvery color usually, but they domesticated it. They were just raising it a lot to use as food to feed to other fish, and then the royalty, you know, became interested in it, and they were raising it, and mutations caused the orange and red and yellow colors, and the royalty in China especially liked the yellow colors because that was like the royal color for them, so they wouldn't let the peasants have goldfish of that color. So they raised them in ponds, and sometimes they would bring the fish inside in little containers when they knew they had visitors. And that's where we got the idea of having fish in little fish bowls. But that's not very nice for the fish. You know, they don't have any room to swim around, and besides that, the quality of the water inside a fish bowl isn't very good because the water needs to be changed frequently, you know, so that there's oxygen in the water, and so that the, you know, waste from the fish doesn't make too much nitrogen that's toxic for the fish, and that's really hard to maintain in such a small area, and the fish become sick, and that's why people think that goldfish don't actually live long. But if kept properly, goldfish can live up to 25 years in a fish tank. The average age is about 5 to 10 years, but if you keep them healthy, they should live longer than that. And the world record of a goldfish domesticated is 43 years. That's a long time to have a goldfish, isn't it? Yeah. So one of the biggest goldfish in the world, the one that made the world records back in 2008, was a goldfish that was almost 19 inches long. That one was living in the Netherlands. That's a big goldfish. And actually that's another reason why goldfish need lots of space. You know, we had these in here temporarily. Probably, usually they'd need more space than this. But they can grow up to be 6 inches, the smallest of them, and as you know, some can grow up to be 19 inches. So, you know, they're not a fish for a small area. You need a lot of space for them. And did you know that goldfish can very easily eat too much, and it can actually lead to their death. They can eat themselves to death. And you can't really blame them because they don't have any stomachs, so how are they supposed to know when they're full? So you really got to make sure you don't feed them too much food. And goldfish, like most fish, are very social. Fish are very social animals. That's why they always travel in schools. And you know, we've even seen these goldfish being very social with us. One time I was putting something in the tank, and the goldfish came and started tasting my fingers, you know. And goldfish can recognize their owners and recognize when you're going to feed them, and even perform tricks. So they're very social, and you can have a great bond with your goldfish, even though it's a little more shallow than you'd have with a dog or a cat. And one practical use of a goldfish actually is that they can be used to control mosquito larvae. If you put them in some stagnant water, they'll eat up that mosquito larvae because that's good food for them. And the last thing I wanted to share about goldfish, which is really interesting, is that goldfish don't have tongues, but they do have taste buds on their lips, and that's how they taste everything. That's why they go up and bite everything to taste it. One time, recently, I knew that they can eat lettuce leaves and spinach leaves, so I broke them up in small pieces and fed them to them. And I tried to feed them some kale, and they didn't really seem to like that, but they liked to taste it. So I just put them there, and they kept eating it and spitting it out, eating it and spitting it out over and over again. I guess they didn't like kale too much. So now my wife Lila has some lessons to share that she's learned from the goldfish.
Yeah, we would like to conclude today's story with some object lessons we have seen and that fishes has made us to think about. And one of those things one of the reasons why we have those goldfish is because my husband loves agriculture and he loves to grow plants. And so eventually we will have here on top growing pepper plants. And many of you maybe know the system that is called aquaponics, which is the system that gives to the plants the waste of the fish, which is also nitrogen, that is toxic for fish itself, but is very important for plants, and plants need nitrogen, and so they take the nitrogen away from that waste and then gives back the clean water. And that's the way how the fish has purified and clean water, and the plants get what they need. They need nitrogen. So it also reminds us of that Bible verse that says that it's more blessed to give than to receive, and how in nature everything has this cycle, and that fish has something that they don't need, but the plants can use it, and they can serve each other and benefit from each other and give something to each other. So that's one of the object lessons we have learned through this fish and growing plant process. And then there is another thing, as my husband said, that fish needs a space, and these goldfish can grow up to 1 feet or even a little longer, and they need a space. Now they are put in this glass container, we call it aquarium, and it has boundaries, and they can't go farther. That's it. That's their space where they live, and they can't go farther. And it teaches us also that lesson that maybe also we, for a time, could be put in some circumstances that maybe limits us and puts some boundaries, and we can't, for example, fly, or we can't escape or get somewhere, and we need to just be on this earth and live in this world and be in this place. But the good news are that it's not for long, and that God's plan is for fish to live in a big ocean, big waters, where they have freedom, where they can swim endlessly to one side and to another side, and be happy, and for us also to not have so much limitations or challenges or something that would limit us and would harm us, but to be free and creative. And the third thing with what I would like to conclude, that is also a good news, that as we know in Bible there is a verse in 1 Corinthians 13:12, which says that now we see like through the glass, but one day face to face. And that's our hope, that one day we will be able to swim together with not only goldfish, but with dolphins or whatever everybody of us desires to swim with, and to be free, and to see also God face to face, and to experience all His creation face to face, and not be afraid, and not to have glass between us, but really live all together. And yeah, we hope you learned something, and we want to say hi to all of you from Daniel and Leva, and from our 3 little baby goldfish.